We've discussed all the albums, we've discussed all the songs, and now we are here to talk about what I am excited for. I'm going to break this list up into 3 different sections. We're going to start off with the ones that we know about, we have some singles, we have some ideas of what it's going to sound like to go off of based on previous records or stuff like that, or hell, we might even have a release date for some of them, which we do. And then there's the second list, in which we don't know as much about the albums. We probably don't know their names or their suggested titles or what they are maybe going to be called, and we probably don't have any singles, or we do have a single and we're going to assume that they're going to be releasing one based off the fact they've had a single or based off of previous release schedules. Or there's the last end of the list where I'm kind of just hoping for stuff. I'm going to be listing albums and new material that I'm hoping to get in 2019. So let's just go. Kicking things off, I am fucking pumped. So fucking pumped. And I am so fucking ready for the new Freddie Gibbs and Madlib collaboration Bandana, the follow-up to 2014's Pinata. I am so excited. Madlib is easily one of my favorite producers in all of hip-hop history. And now he's coming back again with Freddie Gibbs, one of the most magical pairings in all of rap. After that, we have the new James Blake record that's coming out, Assume Form. I can only assume that this album is probably going to be out by the time I get this video done and uploaded, because it's 7 o'clock on Thursday now, and once the clock strikes midnight, I am going to be listening to this album, and given the release schedules of my last few videos, I can't imagine that I'll get it out any time sooner than midnight, maybe. Following that, of course, we have the new Kanye West album, Yandhi. It's Kanye West album. I'm excited. Though, based on the mystery surrounding this album and the couple times it's been delayed now, we don't even know if it's called Yandhi anymore. It could be called something completely different. It could have a completely different sound than what we were already expecting, which was just weird shit. I'm hoping that after Yay, which was super underwhelming in my opinion, I'm kind of just hoping for a reform, mainly a Kanye West that knows what he's doing more musically than what he's thinking about lyrically, because that, I think, was what held down Ye for me. He committed more to addressing topics that had been going on recently rather than actually focusing on the music, and not even really going that far into any of those topics. I mean, it was just a really mediocre release. Yandhi I see as a chance for him to get back at his normal boundary pushing that he is consistently making, and has been consistently making for the last, 15 years now? And then I'm very excited for the new Lana Del Rey album, Norman fucking Rockwell, which shows, at least so far with the singles, a lot of artistic growth on Lana's side of things. Every single has been awesome. Mariner's Apartment Complex made my top 50 songs of 2018 list. Venice Bitch was also a very good cut, if a little long-winded. And then Hope is a Dangerous Thing for a Woman Like Me, But I Have It is gorgeous. That song is amazing. It's such an early contender for best song of this year. And up next, this spot was originally reserved for Lil Uzi Vert's Eternal Atake, but from the sound of things, it's not happening. But, a man can dream. So instead, I'm putting Lil Pump, Hardware Dropout here. And I know a lot of you are going to wonder to yourselves, why in the name of all that is fuck would I say such a thing when Lil Pump's self-titled mixtape made my worst of 2017 list for albums? And that's an excellent question. More so, I'm not excited for this record musically, though, based on his performance on I Love It, not his lyrics, his performance on I Love It, I think he does have the potential to be a lot catchier than he is at the moment, because for right now, he's just another one of those artists who just comes up with a hook, and then the song is just a hook. And I want to hear more than that. And I would like to hear more than that, and if we can hear more like I Love It, I'd be very happy. I'd be very happy to hear that. But I don't know. Even if it sucks, I think I can still put it on here as applicable because it's more of a morbid curiosity than anything else. Another one here that might already be out by the time this is uploaded is the new Maggie Rogers album, Heard It in a Past Life. She's a new up-and-coming talent. I love electronic folk pop, and she seems like she could bring about this renaissance of it if Bon Iver hasn't already, which he hasn't, and I'm kind of sad because I really love his work. Then we got the new Vampire Weekend album, Mitsubishi Macchiato, which I don't think is the actual name of the record. I think it's just a working title, but if that's the name, I don't think I've ever heard anything more Vampire Weekend than that. Vampire Weekend is slowly becoming one of my all-time favorite bands. So obviously, even though we haven't heard any singles from this, the fact that we are getting a new one in 2019 and they've confirmed that it's done and that we are going to be getting it in 2019 just really excites me. Then we got The Weeknd with Chapter 6, and I'm hoping that Lost in the Fire doesn't signal what's going to be going on in Chapter 6 or whatever the actual title is, but that song just, it's no good. He has said no more daytime music, so I'm kind of hoping that means he's going back to his old trilogy sound. But in a way, I'm also kind of hoping that he can bring something new to his old trilogy sound, like he did on My Dear Melancholy. And finally, for this section, we have the 1975 with Notes on a Conditional Form, which is the sequel to their album that they came out with this year, A Brief Inquiry on Online Relationships. And I thought it was a really nice record. I didn't think it was amazing, like everyone else was saying it was, but I did enjoy it quite a bit. I did think they had some good ideas on there. I think they took a lot of interesting risks that not many other people would. I'm excited to hear if they can improve on their next album, which comes out in May, I think. Kicking off the second section, we have the new Ariana Grande album, which I think is called Thank You Next. I have no way to confirm that, which is why I didn't put it in the first section with the titled albums. But we do have a couple singles. She did say she was going to be putting something out, so actually, you know what? Let's just include it at the first section. Let's just say it's there. And given how exciting and how fun Sweetener was, I'm very excited to hear how she continues that on this next album. Now, kicking off the news section, we have the new Charli XCX album. We don't know anything about it, but we have 5 singles now, and I guess I can only assume that means the record is either long or she's just spoiled her material. Either way, I'm happy. All the singles have been fantastic. Then up next, we have probably my most anticipated album on this entire list. And that's the new Childish Gambino album, because of course it is. He said he was working on new music. It didn't come out last year, so it has to come out this year. It has to. He dropped so many singles last year. He even sent 2 secret singles to people who bought tickets to his concert. I cannot get enough of Gambino at the moment. I cannot wait to hear what he does on this concluding record. Then we got kind of a double up, because I think these two are both encompassing of one another. Chance 4, I think, is a potential thing. We've obviously had enough time to wait for Chance 4, so I think now would be the perfect time for him to put it out. But at the same time, there's also the potential that he could skip out on a solo album and dedicate this year to Good Ass Job, which is his upcoming Kanye West collab. I don't know if that's what Kanye meant by Watch the Throne 2, if this is going to be his passing of the torch moment to Chance, as Jay-Z's passing of the torch moment was to Kanye on the original Watch the Throne. I don't know how that's going to work, or I don't even know if he's really referring to this being the Throne 2, but whatever it is, I'm excited to hear it. There's the potential for a new Clipping album. We haven't heard any singles, and they dropped a reworking of their first tape last year, but I am very excited to hear what they're cooking up, because they said they're working on a record, and I'm assuming that means they're going to put one out. Another one that I am ecstatic for without even hearing a single for it, and that's the new Danny Brown album. Danny Brown is one of my favorite rappers of all time, and I think with one more legendary project, he could be considered in more people's lists, because he's had Triple X, he's had Old, he's had a masterclass in experimental rap, Atrocity Exhibition. That is just already such an amazing discography. And he's still going. He's still like fairly young and new in his career. Speaking of young and new in their career, and even more so, is the Duckworth. I am very, very, very much hoping to get a new Duckworth album because we heard a couple of singles last year, though we've heard no confirmation on whether there will or won't be a new album coming out. New Grimes record, obviously. We got that Appreciate Power single last year. I didn't think it was enough to make the top 50. I thought it was very good, though. I would put it on honorable mentions, and I'm hoping that that sound kind of influences the rest of the album because, fuck, if we got a new metal album from Grimes, that's it right there. Apparently Kid Cudi has a new album on the way. I don't know whether that means a new Kids See Ghost album or whether it means a new just solo album, but either way, I am very excited to hear what he's up to. LSD, the pop supergroup formed by Sia, R&B idol Labyrinth, and electronic producer Diplo. And although that pairing to me, when I first heard it, sounded like complete garbage, I really loved all their singles that they put out last year. They're super glitchy. The performances are super like rock solid and tight. I cannot wait to hear what they do on their full album that's supposedly coming out this year, because it was supposed to come out in November of last year, but it didn't, which only means, to me at least, that they've delayed it so they can work on it more, and that it needs more reworking, and I'm happy to wait for it. New My Bloody Valentine album coming out, it's new, it's My Bloody Valentine. Like, what do I have to say about that? These guys made Loveless. That album fucking kicks ass. This one's a bit of a weird pick for me, but I'm gonna have to say that I would be interested to hear what Rihanna is cooking up this year, because she said she's coming out with a new album. Her producer said it's fucking fire, and her marketing team said it was fucking fire as well. So I'm kind of hoping that that means she's continuing her like push to experiment from Anti, because although I didn't really like that album that much, I can't appreciate what she tried to do. And if she can reform that a bit, work on it more, then I think you've got a really nice album on your hands. Run the Jewels 4, fucking obviously I'm excited for Run the Jewels 4. Schoolboy Q supposedly has a new album coming out. I really enjoyed his last album, Blank Face LP. Solange has a new album on the way that I don't know anything about, but I'll listen to it because it's Solange. SZA also has a new album on the way. I don't know anything about it, but it's SZA, so I'll listen to it. And Tom York apparently has a solo album coming out right off the heels of the release of the Suspiria soundtrack. He's coming out with another solo record this year, and I'm very excited to hear it because, fuck, the dude makes such impressive music on his own. Not that he doesn't need Radiohead. Please don't leave Radiohead, Tom. Tool's got a new album on the way. That'll be interesting to hear. And to conclude this section, I'm going to have to assume that Vince Staples has got something on the way. I mean, he did say he was working on an album and put it aside to work on FM, but I don't know. Maybe he will actually kind of take a year off, although I don't really know Vince to be the one to do that. And now we're getting into the final section, the more speculative picks, the more, ooh, will this actually happen? And starting that is a weird pick. Starting that is a very, very odd pick, especially for all the Brockhampton fans out there. No, it's not Brockhampton. It's actually Amir Van. Amir Van, for those of you who don't know, was a former member of Brockhampton and one of everybody's personal favorites. I personally didn't think he was that essential to the group. I thought he did have a really unique sound from the rest of them, very MF Doom influenced, but I personally would have liked to see some more growth, and I think he can pull that off in solo material, because for me, his sound didn't necessarily fit with the rest of Brockhampton's vibe. When he worked on a song, he fucking worked, but there were a lot of times where songs would be just so fun and bouncy, and he'd just be rapping about like his dark past of dealing drugs and having depression and dealing with racism. I didn't think it paired well as nice, and I thought those were some of the lesser cuts on the albums, the Saturation trilogy. And according to some of his family members, he has been writing, he has been working on new material. So even if we don't get a full album, I am excited to hear like a a couple singles, but only one single, maybe even an EP. And then we've got a new album from Andre 3000. Completely unlikely, but you know, he's never put out a solo album before unless you count The Love Below. And honestly, now's the time, because he's put out his single, and he put out the other single with it that was like Look Ma, No Hands, which was just like 17 minutes of him playing the like bassoon with James Blake playing piano in the background. Interesting cut, but I would like to hear some kind of, maybe even like darkly barren or experimental R&B album from him. I don't need to hear a rap album from Andre 3000, though. You know, it would be nice. I'm assuming Billie Eilish has got a debut album coming out this year, because she's held off on it for 2 years now. And, you know, Billie, you're not watching this, but come on, girl. We need that. And here's where we get to the Brockhampton album, for all the Brockhampton fans out there. It's more than likely that they're going to put out an album next year, but what keeps me from fully cementing the idea of that is that Kevin did specify that the group was kind of done putting out releases like the Saturation albums or Iridescence, where they worked on it for a short period of time and more so impressed people by how quickly they were able to get each album done. Instead, it seems like they want to take more of their time, and Kevin himself addressed there will not be another Brockhampton album for a while. Yet the band has, different members of the band have been saying, we're loving the new material that we're working on. So they're working on material this entire time that they're in absence. And fuck, if they're going to take that much time when they made Iridescence in 10 days, something like that in 10 days, and they're going to be working on this shit forever, maybe even beyond this year, because maybe it won't even come out this year. I don't personally need a Brockhampton album this year, but if we get one, that'd be sweet. Another one that you could probably cement as being a release this year is another Death Grips album. The band has never really been one to take a year off. Never. But a new album is not a guarantee. They could put out an EP, they could just put out a series of singles. If they do put out another album, and at this point, given that we haven't heard any word on one, if they did, it would probably be a surprise release, I'd imagine. I don't know. I'd be excited to hear what they're working on. Dram's gonna have a new album coming out, and honestly, I can't take down the video and re-upload it, but if I had thought about it and had the wherewithal to think about it before I put up the top 50 albums, not albums, songs, I can't speak fucking English today. If I had the wherewithal beforehand, I would have put some of the Dram singles on that list. Probably Sundress, that was my favorite out of the three that he released, though they were all excellent. And given that they were also unique from one another, yet had the usual Dram style that you could very clearly hear in them, it shows me that there's a lot of variety on this new album, and I am very, very, very excited to hear what he does with it. Frank Ocean, maybe, please. I'm dying here, bro. I can't wait till 2020. Please. You said you're sitting on an album. Just put the fucking thing out! Half Alive, I'm assuming, has a debut album coming out because they put out their single last year. It was huge, and given that 2018 was kind of their year to digest that massive spurt of fame, I am expecting them to make 2019 an even bigger year for them, an even more successful year. JPEG Mafia, I'm assuming, I don't know, I mean, I can't see him being the type of guy who would just not do anything. I mean, he would at least put out a single or something, so not necessarily a new album from him, but I would like to see some new material. And given the cycle of releases that Kenny usually has, we could be getting a new Kendrick Lamar album, but the only reason I'm not guaranteeing it is because the dude's been fucking busy. He just had, like, his most successful album to date in 2017, which will unlikely go down in rap history. He just made a fucking soundtrack last year, and he did a shit ton of features with people, and I don't know. I can't imagine that he is immediately hopping back into the studio to get working on stuff again, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get a release late in the year because usually releases in the start of the year. Maybe we'll just get a release late in the year. But if we don't, I'm assuming it means we're going to get it in 2020, early in the year at least, and I am still happy with that. And as previously mentioned, when I talked about Kid Cudi, Kids See Ghosts said they have new material on the way. I doubt they meant this year, but I can dream. And last but not least, Tame Impala is probably coming out with something because, well, Currents being their most successful album yet gave them a lot of time to just kind of kick it. Just be like, let's just sit back and relax. And now they've had a few years off. I'm guessing they're going to come back strong with a new record that's going to basically just blow all their fans away. Or they're just going to go super poppy. That actually wouldn't surprise me. That's it for this video. Thanks. Bye.